Let's get talking. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Carl A. Long. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? This is season 2, episode. I decided to change the numbering of my episodes. Season 2 episode, because I need to know the magnitude of how many I've done. Season 2 episode 53. So I've done 53 podcast episodes, but this is season 2 episode 53. Welcome to the podcast. As you can probably see, I'm off work today, so I am able to record, and it is a good day because it is still Jasmine Crockett Day. Because, guys, today we are talking about the drama, the noise, the viral clips, and the confusion surrounding the Texas Democratic Senate primary between Jasmine Crockett and James Talarico. Yeah. Now, if you've been on social media, you've seen all the accusations. Who took PAC money? Is the GOP secretly backing one candidate? Did CBS really block a Colbert interview? And why do so many people love Crockett but say she can't win in Texas? And why are non-Texans all over this race? So we need to just slow things down. Let's separate some facts from feelings. And let's talk about what's actually happening here. You know, I have had a lot of interest in this rate because, as I said, I was in Jasmine's group district before they redistricted it and changed it a little bit, whatever. And she's my congressman. I live here in Texas, so I have a vested interest in this race. And I have followed her campaign since she took over for our congresswoman, Eddie Bernice Johnson. And she has done a phenomenal job because right now, you know who she is, Jasmine Crockett. You have to be living under a rock to not know who she is. That name, the recognition, and what she's done. So let's talk about what's actually happening. What is this race really about? First, Texas has not elected a Democrat in the U.S. Senate since 1988. And that matters because any Democrat primary here just isn't a primary. It's a fight over strategy. It's a fight over identity. It's a fight over what kind of Democrat can actually win a statewide race in Texas. Now, I'm from Dallas County. Dallas County is strongly blue. The judges, we are just blue. We go out and we get things done. Republicans don't have a voice that much in the city and county of Dallas. We got a Dallas city mayor who kind of like pulled one over our eyes. He ran you don't have to run as a party when you run in the mayoral race in Dallas. But he presented himself like a Democrat and then came out as a Republican. And now he's our mayor, and I cannot wait to vote him out. When I saw him stand up on the stage at the Republican National Convention, I was like, there was something about them. Eric Johnson, dude, I don't know what's going on with that, but he got to go because Dallas County is blue. So here's what's happening statewide in Texas. On one hand, you have Jasmine Crockett. She was a sitting U.S. Congresswoman. National profile, sharp messaging, strong online presence. And on the other hand, you have James Talarico, a Texas state representative, a seminary student who positions himself as a faith-forward, grassroots-driven candidate. Both of them are smart, and they're both articulate, and both believe in the best thing for Texas. That's important. So, and both have a chance to flip Texas, and we know that. But now, the thing about it is, they are both good candidates, and they're colleagues, and they have tried their best to keep this race as civil as possible. But social media gets loud. There's a narrative floating around that one candidate is clean and the other is not. Kind of thing is happening here. And so now there's and the other is it's just not happening in Texas. People think that Jasmine just cannot win. And I beg to differ. I beg to differ. So both believe they are the best chance to flip this seat. And I believe that one of them can. And James Talarico positions himself as a faith-forward and grassroots-driven candidate. And people think that because he can speak to the evangelicals, that he can somehow move them to the center. And let me tell you what I've always said. I've said this several times on TikTok, on posts, everywhere. Why is it that we have to convince evangelicals, moderates, independents of what Donald Trump and his regime are doing? Why are we having to convince them of anything? If you can't see what we can see, what's happening in Texas, then something is wrong. I mean, we are tired of convincing people. So James is running from a different perspective than Jasmine. Jasmine is trying to blow up the base and get them to come out. And James is trying to reach to the middle, which I detest. I'm so sick of the middle and moderate and all that kind of stuff because you guys always prove us wrong. We go after you and then you get into the ballot box and you vote exactly where we think you're going to vote anyway. So to me, it's just a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It really is. So I don't know how this is all going to pan out, guys. I really don't. But I do believe that the race is getting crazy and a lot of things are being said that are not true. And I believe Jasmine is getting the short end of the stick. That's what I believe. And people are trying to paint it as James is being mean and doing things. And I don't think he's really doing that. But I think that people are getting in his head all of a sudden. Now, the part 2 of this whole thing is like, who took PAC money? Who took PAC money? That seems to be the only thing that comes up against either one of the candidates is who took PAC money and what's the position on Israel. Those are the only 2 things they can find about these candidates. They don't. Because this is where social media gets loud. There is a narrative floating around that one candidate is clean and the other is corporate. But that's not the full story. Talarico has emphasized small dollar fundraising in his Senate race. And yes, he has raised millions from grassroots donors. But early in his career, he did take PAC money, including from interests tied to casino legalization efforts in Texas. That's documented. Now, Crockett, she has received donations connected to industries like healthcare and defense through employee PAC structures. She's also has support from more traditional Democratic donors. Here's the reality. In modern statewide politics, it is extremely difficult to run a competitive campaign without outside money touching the race in some way. This is very difficult. The difference is often in branding and messaging, So we'll talk about PACs here in a minute. So the idea that one candidate is completely untouched by PAC influence and the other is drowning in it, that's an oversimplification. It is. So let's just really talk about PAC calmly. Let's slow it down because this is where social media gets loud. PAC money. It's become the attack word of this race. But before we decide whether it's terrible, we need to understand what it actually is. A lot of you probably even know what it is, but they say PAC and you just go, she took PAC money. But do you really know what it is? All right, a PAC, here's some definition. A PAC is a political action committee. It's an organization that raises money to support or oppose candidate. There are labor PACs, industry PACs, advocacy PACs, civil rights PAC, teacher PACs, corporate PACs. They're not all the same and they don't all represent the same interest. What are exactly our PACs? All right, let's just pause and we'll talk about it. I'll give you some definitions Before we argue about PAC money, we need to understand what a PAC actually is. PAC stands for Political Action Committee, as I told you. It is an organization created to raise money and spend money to influence elections. That's it. Their job is about elections, not writing laws, not voting, not governing. Elections. Elections. But here's where the confusion starts. People hear PAC and they think corporation, lobbyists, backroom deals. But those are different things. So let's just break it down. First question is, are PACs part of companies? That was my question. Are PACs part of companies? Not exactly. They're not part of companies. Some PACs are connected to companies, but they are legally separate from the company's business operations. Here's the key detail. Corporate PACs cannot donate money, profits directly to federal candidates. Instead, they raise money from employees, executives, shareholders. So when you hear that companies PAC donated to a candidate, it usually means individuals associated with that company voluntarily contributed to the PAC, not that the company wrote a check from a corporate revenue stream. That's an important distinction, okay? And not all PACs are corporate. There are union PACs, trade association PACs, advocacy PACs. There are PACs for teachers, for nurses, for environmental groups, for gun rights organizations, for civil rights, civil liberties group. A PAC can represent an industry or it can represent an idea. So how are PACs formed? At the federal level, they register with the Federal Election Commission. They file paperwork. They're completely legal. All right? They're completely legal. They appoint a treasurer, and they are required to publicly report who donates to them and where the money goes. They have to do that by law. And there are limits on how much traditional PACs can donate directly to candidates. Now let's talk about super PACs, because those are different. Super PACs can raise unlimited money. They can spend unlimited money, but they cannot donate directly to candidates. And they cannot coordinate with a campaign. They operate independently. Now, that structure largely came from the 2010 Supreme Court decision in Citizens United. This is the one time when Barack was real upset with the Supreme Court, but he didn't do what Trump is doing right now. He was upset and disappointed about this because that corporate PAC thing, super PACs, those can be very influential in elections. And you've seen a commercial or two from them. Yeah. Now, that's, as I said, that structure came largely from the 2010 Supreme Court decision in Citizens United. Now, let's clear up the other big confusion. Are PACs the same as lobbyists? No, they're not the same. PACs focus on elections. Lobbyists focus on legislation. A lobbyist's job is to influence policy, and they meet lawmakers. They argue for and against bills. They represent companies, unions, or advocacy groups. So when people think of PACs, they're thinking she's taking money, they're influencing her to do things. That's not the way that works. So all PAC money is not bad money, is what I'm trying to make you understand. And y'all are out here making this a big deal about them taking PAC money. You don't even understand how this works. So think of it like this. PACs help candidates get elected. Lobbyists try to influence what those elected officials could do once they get in office. Sometimes the same organization has both, but legally and functionally, they are separate activities. So why do people lump all this together? Because influence overlaps. If an industry has a PAC that donates to a candidate and also hires lobbyists, it can look like one coordinated machine of influence. Okay, you get that? That perception is what fuels distrust, but structurally, these are different parts of the political system. Bottom line, a PAC is a regulated fundraising vehicle. It is not automatically corruption. It is not automatically corporate control, but it does exist in a system where money equals access and access creates power. That's the real conversation. Okay? Not just the acronym. Here's where things get heated. People hear candidates' name and they accepted PAC money. The immediate assumption is they're bought. It costs money to run these campaigns. But that's not automatically true. The real concern isn't that PAC money exists. The concern is influence. If a candidate takes money from an industry, will that industry get special access later? Will policy decisions be softened? Will priorities shift? That's the fear. It's about access. It's about trust. It's about optics. Now let's apply that to this race, okay? James Talarico has emphasized grassroots fundraising in his sit-in campaign. He has raised significant money from small donors, but earlier in his political career, he did accept PAC money, including from groups connected to specific policy efforts he supported. That's documented. Now, Jasmine Crockett, she has received donations connected to various industries through PAC structures and traditional Democrat donor networks. That's also documented. So the narrative that one candidate is completely untouched by PAC money and others fully corporately funded, that's not the full picture. It's not the full picture. Running the statewide in Texas costs millions. And for them to refuse free money, guys, refusing all PAC money can be principle standard, but it can also be financially limiting. Jasmine is struggling out here because of what people are saying about PAC. Some candidates build massive small dollar armies. Others combine grassroots support with institutional backing. The deeper question isn't did they take PAC money? The deeper question is what percentage of their funding comes from it? Does it influence their policy positions? And do the votes reflect donor interest or voter interest? That's where accountability lies. And in a primary, PAC money becomes a shorthand for something bigger. Establishment versus insurgents. So this is what troubles me so much. I'm sure a lot of people are out here talking. That's the one thing I'm hearing a lot about Jasmine. She took PAC money. I have one TikToker, which I'm going to play some of these for you, whether she's just not going to vote for him because of that, you know. But I bet she doesn't understand the full cups of what they are. The establishment versus insurgent, corporate versus grassroots, system versus reform. But shorthand is not always truth, and nuance doesn't go viral. So when you hear they took PAC money, the smart response is which PAC? How much? And does it record? Does the record match their rhetoric? And that's how you stay informed, not outraged, informed. So if Jasmine Crockett took PAC money from teachers, and she's for teachers, and she wants to help teachers, that's a good thing. That's already a part of her platform. Do y'all get that? And so you shouldn't be outraged, informed. It depends on where does it come from. And if she takes it, fine. But if it's part of her interest, why not? That's free money. If you understand the definition of PACs come from different places. And I guess if you think about it, if somebody gives all this money and whatever, you know, it's going to be expected something. But generally, a PAC is not going to come to a candidate. Jasmine Crockett is not going to accept money from a gun PAC. She not. If she does, then we know what's going to happen there. They're going to expect something back. Does that make sense now? Okay, there we go. So I hope I cleared up the whole thing about PACs and understanding that's not a bad thing. So all you TikTokers out there that are telling everybody that you're not voting her because of that, you haven't even done your research. You haven't done your research. You don't know what PAC money she's accepted or why. Understand what a PAC means and what the money means and why that system even exists. It is because elections are very, very expensive. They're very expensive. Yeah. So that's it. Now, the other part of the question that's out there is like, are Republicans using their full force against Crockett? This is another viral talking point. Some people claim Republicans are securely trying to elevate one candidate over another. But let's be clear. The Republican primary is its own war. John Cornyn and Ken Paxton and Wesley Hunt. They got stuff to do over there. They got to fight. They're fighting on themselves over there. So there's no verified evidence that there's a coordinated Republican operation targeting Crockett specifically in the Democratic primary. But what Republicans are doing, they're watching closely. They're analyzing which Democrats they believe would be easier to defeat in the general election. And that's strategy. But that's normal. But conspiracy theories, I mean, that's social media energy and it's not confirmed. So they're out there watching and they are doing strategy. And if you want to call that out there in her election, they are. But that's the strategy. We do that the same thing with them. So they haven't done anything dirty yet, but it's coming. All right. So the other thing is the whole Colbert CBS controversy and how the Republicans, that's maybe a way out there. Now, how, let's talk about that. Stephen Colbert interviewed James Talarico. The interview did not air on television. Colbert later said that CBS lawyers raised concerns about equal time rules under FCC. And the equal time rule basically says that if a broadcast network gives airtime to one legally qualified candidate, they have to offer comparable time to opponents. CBS said they didn't ban the interview. They advised caution. The interview was then posted online. Now I know something about this because I worked in newspaper for many years and in advertising. And we had political ads. We didn't have to do, political ads, the only thing that we had to do was they couldn't have different prices. I couldn't charge one this and one that for the ads. We had to keep it the same. But whether they wanted to run an ad or not, that was up to them. But if they did run an ad, we had to make sure that nobody got charged any different. They had to have the same rate. We couldn't show any partial. They couldn't have a contract. One couldn't sign a contract and be like a regular advertiser. They had to be on the same set of rates. That was the rule, the guidelines of that. But whether or not, papers endorse candidates. So they always have a bias, our editorial department. So they endorse, so they're not obligated. Print is not obligated to do that. But the airwaves were. And that's an old rule. And I don't know that it's been applied, but they're trying to apply it now. So it went on. So this went viral. So James Talarico, he got a boost. His campaign reportedly raised millions in the aftermath. So was this government censorship? No. Was it media compliance caution? Yes. Did it become a fundraising boost? Absolutely. It did. So that worked, James. That worked. And if Stephen Colbert was working with James on the whole thing, that's what people are saying, and that's what Jasmine is saying. And people are saying that she was trying to say that Trump didn't have anything to do with it. He didn't. They didn't do anything. That the little FCC director has stuff to say, but he didn't do anything. He just said that the law exists. The law does still exist. So, Crockett is fiery. She's direct. And she just made a statement about that. And she just basically said she doesn't think the FCC had anything to do with it. And it was something fishy about it. And she's just moving on. She's been on Colbert many times. They don't want to have her on. Fine. She's too busy in Texas. She don't care about that. So, and the next question people have is, why? This is what I have the question for, and this is what's really getting me with the social media. Why do people love Crockett but doubt she can win? So many videos out there. I love Jasmine, but that little but, it could be your vote. So, this is an emotional core of the debate. Crockett, she's direct. She's quick on her feet. Her congressional hearing clips, they went viral. Most people, that's all they know is what went viral. People see her as a fighter, a truth teller, someone unafraid of confrontation. So why do some Democrats say she can't win statewide? Because Texas is still a red-leaning state? Statewide elections required suburban crossover voters, moderate independents, rural turnout shifts. Some believe her style energizes the base, but alienates swing voters. Others argue the opposite. They say energy wins elections. That boldness motivates turnout. The passion changes maps. That's the real strategic divide, not personality. So because Jasmine is not directly going after moderates and independents and evangelicals, that's that group that I just that they said that she can't win in Texas because she's not. That's not her strategy. Her strategy is energizing the base of non-voters in Texas, and they don't think that she can win with that. So that's what that media is. A media. That's what's out there on media as well. All right. And then here's another question that's driving me crazy. Jasmine this election is fired up non-Texans. They are invested. If you scroll through social media, half the loudest voice is not even Texans. Why? Because this race is symbolic, guys. It represents the future of the Democratic Party, the grassroots versus establishment, faith messaging versus viral activism, media fairness. And National Democrats see this as a testing ground, so they weigh in, they amplify, they argue, but at the end of the day, Texas voters decide. Not Twitter, not TikTok, not cable news. Texas decides. Texas decides. So every time I see one of these little viral people out there, and then they go through and they give all their assessment and what they think, and I was like, and then they say they're not from Texas. I was like, I don't care what you say. You're not even from here. You know nothing about Texas politics. We appreciate you getting involved, but let that part stay with us. We don't need you to tell us what about our candidates. We don't need you to tell us about our candidates. We don't. So what now I want to do is let's listen to the internet. I want you to listen to the internet. Now, instead of me just telling you what people are saying, we're going to actually hear it. I'm going to play a few social media clips from different perspectives on this race. Some pro-Crockett, some pro-Talarico, some skeptical of both. And after each one, I'll give you my honest reaction. So, let's just do this, okay? Let's do this. All right, so let's get back into this. And here, let's go with our first clip. All right, so this one is this particular TikToker says, vote for experience. I like what she says, but let's take a listen to her and we'll come back on the other side. Here we go.
You know, this race between Jasmine Crockett and James Talarico, I may have people on here that disagree with me, but in this race, I would definitely go with who is the most qualified. The most qualified. And we know who's the most qualified. It would be Jasmine. She is already on the federal level. She's qualified. If I were in Texas, she would have my vote. Again, I am going for who is qualified. And I fear that this race is going to be a repeat of that presidential race that we witnessed in 2024. The person that was the most qualified was overlooked. So again, Texans, you can feel how you want, but let's get someone in there who is qualified. And Jasmine Crockett would have my vote.
Booyah. Everybody is invested in this race. She's not even from Texas, but they are tuned into this race, and I totally agree with her. Let's get the person that's the most qualified in the race, and that is Jasmine. She is already on the federal level. You know, I mean, I don't have to give you the thing. And guys, if you are on the fence about who to vote for, go and research it. Don't just go off of social media clips and things of that nature. They have some great points, and I love them because I'm a social media clip too, here and there. But do your own research. They have a website. Both of them. All right. So here's my next one. And this is guy, he's claiming that he feels like there's some racism in the Texas Senate race, but he's pro Talarico, but he made some points. Some I don't agree with, but let's just listen to him, and we'll come back on the other side, and then you tell me your thoughts on this particular TikToker. Here we go.
There really is a whole lot of racism in this James Talarico, Jasmine Crockett race, but not in the way that's been talked about so far. Now, I've talked extensively about the problems with Jasmine Crockett, primarily that she's accepted so many corporate PAC contributions and continues to defend it. She also has a very problematic position on Israel and Gaza. I do, however, far prefer her style to Talarico's. Sure, Talarico will capture a few more of those white evangelical votes, and that's important. But elections now are far more about turnout, and we tend to way overthink these things. People are complex, and simplifying it in this way is the first place I see a problem, which is really no shock in especially Democratic politics. In my experience, they are obsessed with matching the candidate with the specific demographics of the district. Now, I don't know if it's ignorance or what, but I've recently listened to 3 very popular political podcasts that have framed this in a similar way. That this race is between progressive firebrand Jasmine Crockett and big tent Democrat evangelical James Talarico. But the truth is that Talarico has far more progressive positions than Crockett does and is much more popular in progressive circles. People are just assuming that because the race is between a soft-spoken white man and a loud black woman, that's how this race breaks down, and that's racist as hell. Again, I far prefer Jasmine Crockett's style in this time. A passive rhetorical approach is a thing of the past and just doesn't work anymore. I think Talarico thinks this is why he's popular, but it's not. It's his positions and his background. If you're trying to get the nursing home crowd, then his style is great, but that's about where it ends. I support Talarico in that race because of his principles. I still question his initial support from Miriam Adelson, but it's far less problematic than all the people that Crockett's taken money from. I do like that Talarico uses Christ as his focus, and we do need some evangelicals to peel off. Christ is generally a unifying force, especially in Texas. But his overly pious preacher style, I'm not a huge fan of. I think even Jesus would like to see a little more fire. So if you're a podcaster out there making bank on your show, can you do a little more research? This is a soft-spoken leftist evangelical versus a powerful communicating corporate Democrat.
All right. So I wasn't quite sure who you're supporting. He's probably not from Texas anyway, but I couldn't understand who he's supporting. He was trying to make something out of the PACs. And again, here's another guy that thinks that because she took PAC money that she's doing evil. Guys, it's who the PAC is and who and what their interests are. That's what makes the difference. And I think that people got the PACs all wrong. They got them all wrong, and it's not a dirty thing if you got some of that money. If you can do grassroots, fine. But if you need, so what? I don't care where she get the money from. As long as she win, I don't give a flip. As long as she's not getting it from some gun group or some racist group or something like that, then I'm fine with it. If the lawyers want to give her some money because they want to get her good things, and she's a lawyer too, what's wrong with that? I don't have a problem with that. All right? So that's my stand on this guy, but I'm telling you, these are all over. So let me let you speak. This is actually one of the TikTokers who I follow, and she's actually speaking to Jasmine about some of these same topics. So I call this one Jasmine Speaks after she's given a question by one of her supporters who also has a nice little following on TikTok. I can't think of her name, guys, but here we go. We'll come back on the other side.
Well, I'm Nori. It's very nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you too.
I'm very excited. So what I want to ask you is what I'm talking to all my friends about, which is the Talarico interview. So when you announced and the Republicans put out that story that they had tricked you basically so that you would get in the race, and it was like, ha ha ha. It just, I feel like I'm losing my mind a lot of the time. Is this real, or is this, what are they doing? And to me, it very much is trying to get everyone to vote for Talarico because they are so afraid of you.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious what you think about it, because it's split. online.
Listen, I mean, God bless online, because I know we're online right now. But I definitely do my best to touch grass and to talk to real people. Not to say that you're not all real, but we know we got some not real people as well. I will tell you that the Republicans have figured out how to really play Democrats. Republicans told us Joe Biden was old. They told us Joe Biden was senile. They did all these things. They stirred the pot. So Democrats got into a frenzy and was like, he can't be reelected because he's old and he's senile. And what did they do? Elected an old
senile. Yeah.
Correct, right? So what they're really good at is stirring us up, because for whatever reason, we listen to Republicans and we allow them to tell us what's going on. The Republicans did not get me into this race. In fact, I need to check my phone because I saw a notification from a Republican. There are Republicans that are watching this race very closely, some of them right here in Texas, that frankly, depending on who the nominee is, they're going to vote for me. These are elected Republicans. They know who I am. They know how I am. And frankly, they've been clear. They don't want someone who's cosplaying as a Republican, which Democrats, we tend to be like, oh, let's get somebody who will sound more Republican-like. Instead, they just want to know where people stand. And this explains why and how Republicans could elect a 34-count convicted felon, because we Democrats are like, how is that possible? How would they vote for him? And that doesn't make sense. Like, we've never had a criminal president, right?
Right.
That's how our brains work. That's not how the Republicans work. He doesn't know one Bible verse. But everybody's like, oh my gosh, like, we are about the church, so we're going to vote for Satan? Like, that's what's happening. So I did my own polling. I had my own conversations with Stacey Abrams. I had my own conversations with VP Harris. I had my own conversations with a few other people that I won't name. And this decision was tough. But ultimately, it came down to the numbers and understanding that we could get this done. I wouldn't have done this to send anybody on a wild goose chase.
I agree with you. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's articles that keep coming out saying, that we're delusional.
Yeah.
Which I agree with you. I had a follower today send me a message that I have a screenshot of saying that she wasn't sure until she heard the points I had made, and then she was like, okay. And she was a 45-year-old white woman. And she said she cried casting her vote for you.
Oh.
But she was like, I've never voted in a primary before. And I was like, it's already happening.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Anyway, I just think it's funny. I was like, or are they just trying to get everyone to go to him because they are terrified of you, right?
I mean, the governor is spending over $1 million against me.
Right. And why would he do that?
I mean, that is the
primary.
best. Forget what they say, look at what they do. I say it all the time. Forget what they say, look at what they do. They are spending real dollars against me in the primary.
Right.
That is what made this primary so interesting, is because normally in a primary, you're only dealing with your primary opponent. I am having to deal with super PACs and my primary opponent, as well as the Republicans at the same time.
That's such a good way to look at it, though, is that they are trying to influence our primary.
Yeah.
Wow.
They are.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let you go because you got to go to bed.
I do have to go to bed. But I will say this. Thank you to that first-time voter. Thank you to all the other first-time primary voters. I was so encouraged, and I'm looking for
me.
I'm looking for so many more numbers out of this state. But my theory is that we needed to excite the base.
I agree.
Right now, we have a difference of theories of how we're going to win. But I am leaning in, and I want to talk to everyone who has felt like they've been ignored, they've been undervalued. I think that that's where the win is. We're all hurting right now, and I think that it makes more sense to talk to people that are hurting. Does that mean that we're anti-Republican? We're not. We want everyone who absolutely wants better for themselves and for their children on this campaign.
I think people want to be inspired.
Yeah.
Right, because that's as powerful as rage.
Yeah.
And you do that, for sure.
I try. I don't know, but I try. I do want y'all to know that they want to convince us of what we can't do. It's all because they know we can do it. Again, just like I said earlier today, as I was in Ohio dealing with the Epstein stuff.
Oh, God.
The Epstein survivors have told us over and over, follow the money. I'm going to give you the same advice. Follow the money. The money tells the story. I don't think I know of any time that Governor Abbott has spent money. And he's not, I don't know, you would probably know better than me. I don't know that he's even spending money against his primary opponents, nor his general election potential opponents, but he's spending money against me.
Oh,
That tells you everything.
it's true.
Because it's not just about the top of the ticket. For me, it's about the entirety of the ticket. And the governor understands the power of having a me and a Gina Hinojosa. That is a scary proposition for him. And he understands that I'm going to work my hind parts off. I'm going to help every single down ballot candidate as well. And we're going to get this done. So follow the money.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you.
Wow, okay. I wanted y'all to hear that entire interview and exchange because she explained a lot of things about the campaign, what's going on. And guys, y'all need to listen to Jasmine. Let Jasmine speak for herself. Quit listening to other people that are not really speaking truth, opinions. Some opinions are good. I'm not knocking any social media person whatsoever, personality, podcast. I'm a podcaster. So, but you got to listen and get the truth. That's the part of the reason why I do the podcast now, is get the truth. And that was an excited voter who's doing her thing. And guys, we're getting amazing numbers already in a primary. And you heard what she said, that the governor of Texas is spending money because he's got Gina Hinojosa running for him, against him. And you got Jasmine over here. Yeah, we're trying to make some change in Texas. We're trying to do it. And the one thing that I love that she said also was that she just, like, she's saying, she didn't say his name, but she was alluding to James Talarico running so that he looks and sounds like a Republican. We don't want to do that because we don't want to be Republicans. That's where you have to go and go to the center and admit, I hate that kind of a politician. I need to know where you stand. If you're progressive, stand on it. Stand on it. If you're not far progressive as some progressives, stand on what your principles are and talk about the ones that you don't agree with. Stand on it. But don't be something that you're not. I don't need you to try to get into the middle or not talk about this just because I'm over here in Fort Worth, Texas. I can't talk about that. No, talk about everything. If they're with you, they're with you. You take the ones that you need, the ones that don't want to go with that message. That's it. There's nothing we can do. We can't convince you otherwise. That's the way I think a politician should run their campaign. Through purity and honesty, you will get the right voters. You will get them. Yes, you will. All right, so that was Jasmine Speaks on the Race. Now, I wanted to play this next one because as she's on this campaign trail and she's working, God, overtime, guys. I'm seeing her all over the place. I know she's tired. She's posting constantly. And she's doing the work. And I'm just so excited of everything that she's doing. But this one really got to me. And it made me tear up a little bit when I saw how emotional she got about her climb. Because I always say people are not really grateful or think that God is really with them. But rewind in your mind where you were 5 years ago and where God brought you today. And how at one point you may have thought, I don't know how I got out of that. I don't know how I got to here. So sometimes we have to rewind our lives and remember things and just know that God has got your back. And people have gotten your back. And things have happened. And things you didn't think would happen, happened. And you just got to stay true to that and stay strong on it. But let you listen to this because this was quite emotional from the campaign trail. Here we go.
All right. She's in the window. All right. Yes, all right. That's all right. All right. I gotta get through this. 6 years ago, no one believed that I could become a state representative. We were outspent 5-1. Ooh. Yes. We're outspent 5-1. There were a couple of organizations, progressive organizations, that were like, this is our candidate. We want to go with the one that the establishment does not want. One of the main organizations, and they all lined up together. They did. One of the main organizations was stopped. People said there's no way she's going to win. 6 years later. Yeah. Woo! 6 years later, a very short amount of time, I went from being the kid that no one thought could do it, who was out there hustling, knocking doors, putting door hangers at the apartment complexes, doing everything that I could. We were in the midst of George Floyd. Was that election or the other one? No, it was that one. There was a runoff because I was number 2. I wasn't number 1. I made it to the runoff, and then they ended up killing George Floyd. People told me I had to go and get on the phones because we just didn't have the money. And I said, I can't do that. I gotta go do what I know is best. You don't know somebody's circumstance in the middle of this pandemic. I'm not gonna be insensitive and ask for money. Instead, I'm gonna do what I've always done. I'm gonna stand with the people as they take to the streets. There were 600 protesters arrested in Dallas County. Actually, more than that. But 600 that we represented pro bono. No one ended up with a conviction. We just did what we wanted to do, which was to help the people. And guess what? The people saw that. There were people that said, we want to help you win because we believe in you. We had over 300 volunteers for a state house race.
That's a great story. And I do still get a little emotional on it because here's where y'all lose it with Jasmine Crockett. And people think that this one guy on here that's talking about she's for herself. She's not. Here she was. I don't remember if I voted on her in the original state election because she was my state representative, District 100, for a minute. And when she came up, I did not know who she was. I really did not know who she was. And she ended up being, I didn't vote her in the first thing. I went for the name recognition person that I knew. And then she ended up in a runoff for the election for the District 100. And I voted for her then. I remember voting for her in the runoff. But because I had heard a few things. But here it is. She's in a runoff election. She don't have any money. They want her to do the normal politician thing. Get on the phone, get some more money so we can win this race. But then George Floyd was killed and people went to protesting here in Dallas County. And they were putting folks in jail and all kinds of things. And you know how it goes when we go out and protest. We can't just protest like normal. Like we've been seeing the people been doing. Our white brothers and sisters have these peaceful protests. Ours, somebody's going to get thrown in jail. And we do nothing. We follow Martin's rule. We always have peaceful protests. But we get thrown in jail. So she spent her legal pro bono self down there and went to the people to make sure that none of them got any kind of thing, but got them all out. Got them all taken care of. That's what she does. For the people. I don't need anybody else to convince me anything else. I mean, that alone tells me that that lady right there, she's for you. She is for you. And nothing against Talarico. I keep saying that. He's a good brother too, but I don't think this is his time. Not right now. Not this race. But we'll see more. All right. So that one got me kind of choked up to watch it again. To see her in tears like that. Because I know that it's been hard. So this next guy has a different take on Jasmine. You know, at first I was kind of upset with what he said. Then I started thinking, I don't know. But no, I'm at this appointed time, and I think she should be senator. But he has some ideas. Let's see if you agree with his ideas. Here we go.
James Talarico. But what about Jasmine Crockett? I know. I think James Talarico is the man. I think he is the new up-and-coming Democrat that is going to change a lot of things, and it's going to turn Texas blue. Republicans have nothing that can go up against James Talarico, and they know it. They're scared, and they should be scared because they don't have anything that smart. There is no one that smart that can go up against that man. But I know what you're saying. You're saying, what about Jasmine Crockett? I love me some Jasmine Crockett, and so do I. I literally love the woman, but I got bigger plans for her. Senator of Texas, we'll leave that to James Talarico. I got bigger plans for Jasmine Crockett. Tell me if you don't like this. 2028, Gavin Newsom becomes president, who do you think he's going to make attorney general? I'm just asking. Who do you think he's going to make attorney general? Attorney General Jasmine Crockett. Tell me that. Does it get any better? Seriously. Would it get any better than that? Let me know in the comments.
Now I have to say that made me feel real warm and fuzzy on the inside to have after Pam Bondi and what's been going on, to have Jasmine come behind that and clean it up. That would be good. But that's not what's happening right now. Senate is what she wants. Senate is what we're going to do for her. She might become senator, and she could do both. She might become senator, and then they might snatch her out to be attorney general. That's fine, too. She can leave that. That's fine, too, which she would have to weigh that out. So she could do both. Yes, she could. That's not impossible either. But right now, she thinks her best work is in the Senate, so we can get some things passed and get some things done where her vote will help Senate pass some of this stuff that's being stalled there. House is sending all kinds of stuff. If the House sends all kinds of stuff and the Senate doesn't approve it, then what have we done? Nothing. Yeah. Okay. Nothing. All right. So this is what do you think about that, though? Think about that. Put in the comments what you think about her as Attorney General. What are your thoughts on that? I love it. But not right now. Okay, I call this one Jasmine Follower Gives the Truth. Let's see what the truth it is. I can't exactly remember, but let's listen.
Some of y'all continue to show us just how fickle and unreliable and untrustworthy you are around elections. Let me tell you what I see happening. Jasmine Crockett was the front runner. She had all of the energy. Everyone was loving her. She's what Texas needs. Vote for her, vote for her, vote for her. Then out of the blue for me because I don't live in Texas, comes this other person, Talarico. He shows up. And then a certain demographic, one that has proven that we absolutely cannot trust them, you cannot rely on them, that they are as fickle can be. The minute the white man shows up in the race, they dump Jasmine Crockett, and now all of a sudden, he's the one. And miss me with that bull crap about you saving her to take Ted Cruz's place. No, you're not. You have no reason to believe that she's going to win that office, because just like you dumped her to go run after the white man Talarico, you're going to dump her again if she were to be running for that spot to go after another white man. Some of you in that demographic, that percentage that we know that we're talking about, that you can't ever count on, that always flips, that always disappoints you at election time, some of y'all are going to just disappoint time after time after time again. Y'all are as fickle and can't be trusted as anyone I've ever seen. And you continue to convince us that we need to just move on from you guys.
Okay, now that's why I love that, because I totally agree with her on that. They let us down every time. Every time after each election, white men overwhelmingly vote Republican. White women, we count on you for a little bit, but you always go that way. We think you're going to do it's a whole women's issue, but you still vote total Republican. Latinos, you disappointed. But we're not talking about you guys. We're talking about that demographic that she's talking about. The moderates, the evangelicals, and you go in there and you try to convince them, you try to talk their language, but they still disappoint you no matter what, and go in that booth and they vote Republican no matter how horrible the economy is or the country is or whatever. You still go into that ballot booth and you still vote Republican. So that's what she's talking about, and I agree with her. She's right. So When James stepped up, all I'm seeing on the there, it's like Jasmine will never win. She can never win in Texas. She will never win because you're saying that, and you're one of the ones that's saying, I love her, but James is better. You're saying that. Why not? I love her and I'm going to vote for her. How many of those? As many of you that are saying I love her, but I'm voting for James. If you just voted for her to begin with, that's a vote. Do y'all not hear that? But James is better. Okay. So that's what I've been trying to show. What's going out here on social media and how it's just killing me. And they're stuck in my feed of all these people saying this. But when I look at one demographic, they are all, not all of them, because there's some that are totally Jasmine. And I have to give props where props is due. Some are totally Jasmine. But the ones of you who really, really, really have never really supported candidates, women candidates, black women candidates, you're one of the ones that probably voted Republican at one time and came back Democratic, or, I don't know. You're more moderate or not so progressive. I don't know who you are. But all you that's saying, I love Jasmine, but I question your loyalty to that statement. I question it. Yeah. All right, so here's a guy that totally made me upset when he tells me this story about why he thinks Jasmine is not it and what she said, but I don't think he understands the context of what she was saying here. But we're going to listen to him. Hope I can get through it all, because some of these irritate me and I like to scroll fast. But we'll listen anyway. Here we go.
If you think it's a losing cause, what difference does it make if it's me who loses versus somebody else? That was Jasmine Crockett's fucking pitch to Texas Democrats in a speech that she gave yesterday. If you think that a Democrat's gonna lose, who cares if it's me that loses? Texas, you can't. I'm sorry. That's not the energy that anybody should want to go and place a vote for, because that is self-effacing to go and vote for that. That is not a person who respects you, dude. That is not what anybody should want to vote for. That is quite literally saying, fuck you, you'll vote for me. It's literally the South Park meme from 10 or 12 years ago, where Stan is going through a depressive episode. He tries to go to the movies, and every single movie trailer says the same thing to him, which is like, fuck you, you'll watch it, whatever. And then it just like farts all over him. Oh my God. Jesus.
So I cannot even find the clip that he was talking about where she said that, and I doubt she said that. Like, vote for me anyway. You're gonna vote anyway, so you're gonna lose your vote. So let's just all lose it together, kind of thing. She never said anything like that. So I got to find some research to do that. But he's out here saying, "Don't waste your vote on Jasmine." Pretty much, I'm sick of it, guys. And a lot of these are coming, and y'all know I am no kind of racist whatsoever, not at all, never. But a lot of stuff's coming from white men and white women, but mostly white men is telling us not to waste your vote, not to. Why is that? And there's one TikToker which I should have downloaded her video and let you listen, and she's giving all these accounts as to why Jasmine will never win because of this. Then I said, how very white of you, how very privileged of you to say, because they will never do this, they will never vote because you know your people that well. Is that what you're saying? But and then she says in another breath that I think she's a great person, but she's not right for. Why? Why is she not right for Texas? What is right for Texas? This is what's killing me, these narratives that are coming out. So I just wanted to show it to you in full scope of what people are saying, and for you to not let the social media noise damper your resources, your research, and everything that you know about this candidate, or any candidate. I mean, social media is good because social media is how you learn about a lot of people. And I'm not downing it at all, but I'm just saying, be responsible. Understand things. Don't take a little soundbite and let that be the whole be-all, do-all without doing complete real research on a candidate. Okay. So here is a guy who says that he is disappointed of Jasmine. And let me let you see this one here. He really irritated me a lot, but we're going to talk about it.
I've been so disappointed in my Congresswoman, Jasmine Crockett. I loved Jasmine. She pushed this party's communication style so far into the direction it needed to go. She brought attention to the ridiculous stuff, the absurdity a lot of Democrats have to deal with Republicans in DC. Even her controversial takes and tactics, I do not care if she offends Greg Abbott. Jasmine, though, came into this Senate primary race focused on herself. There were multiple profiles at the outset that she tried to stop from being published that pointed to her having some tendencies of being a pretty self-centered person. Fine for a celebrity, not a public servant. Her platform has, in aggregate, just been the anti-Trump candidate. Very little specific.
Okay, now he's wrong right there. She's supposed to be the anti-Trump candidate. That's not true. That's not true. And as far as the pictures of herself, she explained the reason that she did that. It's because Donald Trump can't keep her name out of his mouth. She was playing. She was playing to that. Since you can't keep your name out of mouth, how about a photo? You don't even get it. You didn't even get the whole thing. She's the last person for being self-centered. You know nothing about her.
Vic, this is what I stand for regardless of the president. Her campaign announcement was literally a headshot of her with a voiceover of Trump talking about her.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Worst of all, her campaign strategy has been awful. She admitted their plan was to not flip red voters blue, but to simply activate more blue-leaning people to become blue voters. This is Texas. She should know better. The people around her should know better than to think that's a smart strategy. Her campaign has leaned into, and this was inevitable from the jump, but the campaign did not have to lean into the narrative that this race is about race. That the campaign or supporters of James Talarico don't care to see a black woman in power. Yes, there's always going to be people like that, even in the Democratic Party. Yes. That is not an excuse to pin that on people who are not interested in her and her candidacy based on the merits of her as a candidate. That is not an excuse to inflate this racial narrative. Prove Republicans' point that we have an issue making things about race that aren't about race and poisoning the well for the general election. What matters most is not that Jasmine Crockett becomes the candidate. What matters most is that the red fortress that Texas is pierced. And I think she has those two priorities flipped. Regardless of the outcome of this primary, I will be campaigning like hell to flip this seat come November. But I've just been so disappointed.
Well, I'm sorry you're disappointed. You don't understand the strategy. Texas is a non-voting state. Jasmine's strategy is to energize the base. What is there not to understand? And as much as you want to say there's racism is not in the race, it is in a race. All the time. It is in the race. Texas has not elected any black, hardly anything. What do you think that is? What do you think that is? There's lots of us that have been very well suited, experienced, but we don't win. What do you think that is? And another thing is going after the red thing. There it is again. We don't care. They disappoint every time. What are you going to pierce? Pierce what? They've made up their mind. They're Republicans. They like Donald Trump. They're never going to vote Democrat. There has to be a different strategy. We can't follow that model. It doesn't work in Texas, so we're doing something else. Everybody's followed that model. Beto, Colin, everybody that's tried to do it. It doesn't work. You can speak all to the center all you want. It doesn't work. So, dude, if you want to help and you want to help get on the Jasmine bandwagon, all that stuff about her being into herself, that's just stupid. You don't even know what you were talking about right there. So hopefully, if you ever see this podcast, I did put a note on your social media to let you know what I thought, but you're wrong. You're not in the right space for that guy, and I'm sorry. Okay, so this next little guy, I like him. It's really short, but he gets very upset. He loves some Jasmine Crockett, and he says, "Don't gaslight him." I like it. Check this out.
And no, you're not going to gaslight me about James Talarico. That man is a liar. Man is a class reductionist also. So that's my main fucking issue. Again, yes, he's a liar, my love. Just one lie that he's told during this race, but multiple, right? CBS didn't stop that interview. CBS also put out a statement explaining it. I don't know why people are in my comments saying, oh my God, verbatim, this is actually saying that Trump stopped it. Did you read it? I do find it interesting that Jasmine gets hated on for pointing out the attacks that she gets from Trump, but James gets praised for it. Mind you, he faked it.
There you go. It's never fair for a black woman. It just isn't. They have to work so hard to get anything. And I feel sorry for my black sisters. But I'm going to fight for this one. I'm fighting for this one. Yes, I am going to do everything I can to see, to do my part is to helping people understand the campaign and get a clear view of the candidate. That's all I want to do. All right, so I saved this last one because this one is very close, because this one involves my own people, black women. And this is one of the black girls. She's here in Texas. She's a Texan, and she explained why she voted for Talarico. Let's listen to this, and then I want to tear this apart, pretty much. So let's listen, and then we'll meet on the other side. Here we go.
I voted James Talarico. I already know my black cousin gonna beat me up. I already know they gonna jump me. I already know. I don't want nobody to think I got beef with Representative Crockett. She's an amazing candidate. She's an amazing politician. So if she wins, the sky is still blue, the sun is still out, and the clouds are still white and fluffy. As much as I love Representative Crockett, I'm not about to argue with these dang Trump supporters all dang day long. I got better stuff to do. Like, sometimes I feel like some of these politicians would not have a job if Trump supporters did not exist. And a lot of y'all that do not live in the state of Texas, y'all do not know that Texas has very low voting numbers. The first reason why I believe that is because the majority of Texans that live in purple or red spots are already pretty self-sufficient. They already have property. They already have land. They have already created their own resources. So it's really difficult to feed the majority of Texas that Democratic slop when they have already made a way out of no way, regardless of President Trump, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, George Bush, Bill Clinton. They have already created their own community, already created their own resources. So the only places where that typical traditional Democratic slop works, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. Because them the only places where they used to seeing $1,900, $2,200, $2,500, $3,500, $4,000, $6,000, $10,000 for rent. Oh, no, baby. Oh, no. Baby, I got my property and my land. Okay, $1,400 total. Thank you. But the reason why I decided to go with Talarico is not just because he was brave enough to take on the purple and red spots, but also because he said something along the lines of, I just don't want people to get used to this. I just don't want Texans to be numb to this. Something along the lines. It was when he was on Joe Rogan. And I believe that won a lot of us over because there's a lot of us that are blue. I'm a proud 92%er that we watch these Democrats drive right past us because they'd rather not deal with the purple spots. They'd rather not deal with the red spots. So as much as I love Representative Crockett, I think she just spends more time energizing her base. And there's nothing wrong with that except the fact that Texas is so red. And if it's not red, then another large portion is purple. Like, you got to get outside of them really blue spots because they are few and far between. Well, why is Talarico talking to them Trump supporters? Why he talking to those Jill Stein voters? Because if he were to get that seat, it's his job to ensure their safety and protection as well, even if they don't vote for him, even if they don't like him. That's the last thing you want as a politician, regardless of your party, is for people to feel like they will be neglected if you won. So as a proud 92%er that loves Representative Crockett, I'm not arguing with these Trump supporters all day long. I need to do what is best for the state of Texas. Okay.
There's a lot to unpack with that. So basically, first of all, I'm just upset because here we have a black sister who, speaking her mind, she voted for Talarico. She's going to vote for Talarico, but she loves Jasmine Crockett. That makes no sense, first of all. You're not voting for her because she doesn't speak to the red in the center and the whatever. So you want her to become something that she's not. She's a progressive. You think that all she does is spend her time in the big cities, da-da-da-da. Maybe she does. That's where the base is. That's where you win elections, in the metropolitan areas, in the big cities. Going all around these little counties everywhere. They're already MAGA. Why would we waste energy in those counties? Why even go there? Why even go there? And you know what? And then James says, I hope it doesn't stay like that. James, you're wasting your time too. I mean, because if y'all are trying to change people from MAGA to blue, it ain't going to work. And the fact that you said something like she's not going to be representing them. They're people, aren't they? The issues that, everything that Jasmine has on her issues page, which I want to show you right now, on her issues page is stuff that all people want. So what makes you think she would not cover the red areas? They're people, aren't they? Aren't they people? So here's her website. Issues, affordability, housing, mental health, reproductive care, workers' rights. Are these not things that people in the red states would want? ICE, standing up for your nation's workers' rights, affordable care. This is stuff that people want. This is stuff that people want. Go to her website, read her issues page, and what you just said and not voting for her was stupid. And that's what messes us up. People like us that want to go and be Trump supporters and want to do something they think they're doing that's noble, but your argument made no sense at all. And I called you Black Girl Votes Talarico.
I voted.
Your name
James
is
Talarico. I already know my black cousin gonna beat me up.
She said that. I already know your black cousin gonna beat you up. So here's your black cousin, and I'm beating you up because that was a stupid post, and it made no sense at all. Somebody has a different strategy, and you think they should stay with the same formula that never wins. Talk to the purple people, as you call it, because she's wasting her time in the blue cities like Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. No, there's a lot of people in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin that don't vote. Texas has a voter problem. You said it. She's energizing the base. If you think that's talking to black people only, she didn't say that. She's talking to non-voting people in these large areas. They could be black. They could be white. It doesn't matter. She's never said it was going to be black. She's never said that. You made an assumption. All right. So that one gets me fired up, guys, because it just does. Because when I see another black person, and I know people say, why do you always say black person? Only because it's my brothers and my sisters. And we should know better. We should know better. We should know better. So that's why I say that. Like I said that. Oh, well. So here is the final thoughts on this whole thing. There's a lot of internet noise there, guys. A lot of internet noise. But a lot of it, you can't let this thing mess you up about the candidate of Jasmine Crockett. We said we wanted a fighter. She's there. She's fighting. She's been fighting like crazy. And all of you that are saying that she only wants to fight Trump issues. No, Jasmine fights the truth. But they happen to be Trump lies in this Trump showing up. That's not her fault. She's giving you truth. And she's not focused on Donald Trump. And that's it. Go to her website. Read her issues page. Read about it. Read about what she stands for. Understand it. So, in closing, if you found this breakdown helpful, share it, please. If you disagree, let's talk about it in the comments. I don't care. But let's keep it factual and let's keep it focused on what actually matters. Texas voters will ultimately decide, and that decision could shape national politics for years. And this is so very important. You know, everybody goes, you're doing a podcast or you're doing an ad. I don't care what you call it. I'm doing what I think needs to be done. because there needs to be some change in Texas. Because Texas is a strange state. I've born here in Dallas, Texas. Been here all my life. Moved away a little bit. And when you go to other states, you go, what would it be like in another state where the people speak more, you know? When I'm safe in Dallas County, you can be safe about talking about things. So we're pretty blue. But I already know that if you go too far out of that comfort zone, you're not going to find a lot of people with like interest in this state. But there are some there. But most of them are going to be in the blue areas. A black girl that just spoke. And I'm very invested in this race. And I just want the noise to die down. I've already early voted. And the voting looks like it's way more than it's ever been. So that is hopeful. And to see how this is going to pan out. But that's my episode for today, guys, of Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion and breakdown of the noise in the Talarico Jasmine Crockett Senate race in Texas, because it has been loud. But until we meet again, thanks for joining me. You can find this podcast on anywhere you listen to podcasts. All your podcasts. Please like and share this podcast with your friends, and give me a follow if you can. I'd appreciate it. But thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye now.